have the utmost pleasure to speak today to Cindy Horst, Professor Cindy Horst from PRIO, a Peace Research Institute in Oslo, who was also one of the main applicants on the THEMIS project. And within the context of this conference, it is to bring together the work we have done for the last 4 years. But what's the thing you particularly work on THEMIS now that excites you, that you think is worth sharing?
Yes, I think it's both related to the talk I had this morning and also what I'll talk about later tomorrow, but it's about what are the impacts of socioeconomic differences between migrants, and how can we bring that into a theory on migration systems? Is that possible, or should we move beyond? So I think I'm very interested generally in people's agency, people's level of power and choice when they have to deal with the kind of structural opportunities and constraints that they face as migrants. So for that, I think it's very interesting to look at the data that we have and to see how does that play out for different migrant groups, but also in different countries of settlement. And then also within these groups there are extreme differences depending on the level of education, on the kind of professional backgrounds, etc. So that's what I'm very interested in. I'm working on that.
I know for a fact that your primary research interest is in the refugee studies, and I was wondering. Well, I suppose this is why in THEMIS you've been the always very strong advocate of not losing the people, the social actors, from the picture, because the migration system can sometimes be such a sweeping and abstract concept. But how else would you see your expertise could flourish within the remits of the project?
Yeah, I think, that's also where my call today for bringing power and politics in comes from. So the fact that I do a lot of research on refugees and people who are moving from conflict and who have protection needs, of course that has implications. And then they are facing European migration legal systems that very often constrains their movement and constrains their possibilities to find protection. I think from that there has been a strong drive in me to bring that into the project and to ask questions about power of individuals and the choices that they are able to make. So definitely I think that has been one thing. I think another part of my research is very much focused on kind of methodological and ethical obligations we have as researchers. And I feel that's also something that I've been pushing a lot. Like, okay, how do we ask? Like, why do we ask the questions we're asking? What are we focusing on? And because by focusing on certain aspects, other aspects will be invisible. So whereas there's very easily an idea that academic research is neutral, but it's even the kind of the focus that you have is a political statement, if I want to put it very extreme. But that also comes with an ethical responsibility, especially in research on migration, where there's such a close tie with migration management policies as well. So I feel that was another aspect that I've brought into the project.
And if I may add, to me, this stress of yours was a true inspiration throughout the project. It really was. I sort of developed this sensitivity by talking to you, and that was, let's say, one of the reasons why I decided to write this. Some people might say it's politically engaged, but the paper on semi-legality. That really this talking about migrants in the public discourse and referring to them as illegal people or illegal migrants is so charged, so value charged, and at the same time, completely obnoxious. Why this category is not questioned by researchers themselves, and they just reproduce it in, okay, maybe they are not talking about the illegals, but the questions of illegal migration is used as a common word, a common denominator.
Yeah, and I think my point earlier today also fits into that. We are also dependent on what kind of what are the parameters within which we can do our research, and then funding and all kinds of other obligations that we have come in very strongly there. So trying to still remain critical, I think, is really, really vital. And I think the focus on the legal systems and how migrants deal with that is one very good example of how you can try to have a critical perspective that looks beyond a lot of what current research is doing.
I suppose also talking about migration dynamics in the context of THEMIS, there was yet another reason for this particular sensitivity towards the ethical issues from the Norwegian perspective, because all the groups are really small there.
Yes,
Would you like to talk a little bit more about these experiences?
I mean, that's mainly the methodological questions I've been asking in terms of the data sharing of qualitative research. That if you're working with a group that has, say, 600 people in Oslo, and you start talking about specific, let's say, a tango dancer of a Ukrainian or whatever background, then it becomes really, really difficult to do that in a way that's that guarantees the protection of this individual. So the whole idea of sharing quantitative data, I feel, is one thing, but sharing qualitative data, especially when you're dealing with such small groups, I think is much more problematic. And then you have that responsibility, like I was responsible for collecting I had the overall responsibility for the collection of the data in Norway. Then I feel that I have to guarantee that the data is used in a sound and proper way, which is really difficult to guarantee if the data is publicly available.
Of course. And looking into the future, what are the experiences of THEMIS or the approaches, both at the theoretical but also methodological level, that you think could be helpful in your future work?
I think I would like to focus mainly on the theoretical. The question that I still haven't found an answer to, but that I found really interesting to hear throughout this conference and throughout the discussions also that we have had, is about how do we move forward in this agency structure debate. It's kind of age-old debate where within the project we've had different perceptions on what to do that and how to do that, and I feel that by looking at migration streams that are not related to conflict, it has given me a different perspective on some of the issues that I've dealt with before. So in relation to how migrants deal with the legal systems, how assistance is provided between migrants, what is the impact of the socioeconomic status, for example. These are not things that I easily look at in my work on refugees, but at the same time, by broadening my understanding of migration, it really helps me understand this kind of, so what is this dynamics between individual migrants' level of power and choice and the larger structural opportunities and constraints that they have.
Thank you very, very much.